Hey everyone, this week, mass layoffs in the federal government left thousands without jobs, causing an uproar online. One Reddit post about it instantly went viral, gaining thousands of upvotes and comments, but then it was mysteriously deleted by moderators. Why? Because the truth was in the comments. We gathered all the reactions in one place, and what people were saying might shock you. If you want to know why this post disappeared, keep watching. Let's go!
Lots of people lost their jobs this week due to mass layoffs in the federal government. How will this help anything?
Just so people know, the salaries and benefits for federal employees is about 5% of the budget. And just know it's everyday people being fired, not members of Congress.
I read a story about a backcountry packer getting laid off from the Forest Service. I've known a few of those guys and gals, and I can tell you they are not the picture of extravagance and waste. Real salt-of-the-earth folk living simple lives, keeping the backcountry clean and usable.
Yeah, every time I hear draining the swamp or sticking it to the deep state, I think, really? Park rangers are secretly controlling the United States government? Or maybe it's those folks working on clean water or stopping the spread of acquired immune deficiency syndrome in Africa or the Centers for Disease Control.
Trump is literally the deep state.
Trump is also the swamp.
Federal employees are not in it for the money. Most positions are underpaid when you compare it to their private sector counterparts. Federal employees do the job to support the mission and to support their country. I'm a Fed and have been for about 17 years, and this time terrifies me. I'm currently on probation because I took on a supervisor role, and because of the supervisor role, probation, I may be fired. This is not normal, and please, please, please read up about what is happening. It will soon cause a ripple down to the rest of the population. We just happen to be in the way at the moment. As I said in another comment, there's a right way and wrong way to get rid of feds.
They're trying to cripple the government to show, look, the government doesn't work. We know it doesn't work, so we're just going to strip it for parts. But don't worry, we'll make a new one, cheaper, better, faster. Just trust us. Scary, 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 scary times. Good luck to you.
They're looking to reduce the federal budget so they can claim they've done enough cuts and made the government so efficient that they can cut another $5 trillion in taxes for the wealthy. It will end poorly.
Can't post the graphic, but here are the facts. Federal employees comprise just 1.87% of the American workforce. 4.3% of the federal budget amounts to federal workforce compensation. The ratio of federal workers to national population has steadily decreased for the more than a half century. Federal employees are paid 25% less compared to private sector counterparts. Only 10% of federal employees are fully remote. 79.4% of federal working hours are spent at an in-person workspace. 1 out of 3 federal employees is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. Federal employees are more educated. Federal workers are 53% more likely to have at least a degree, bachelor's, 120% more likely to have an advanced degree than private sector workers. Sources: Federal Salary Council Working Group, U.S. Office of Management and Budget U.S., Office of Personnel Management U.S., Congressional Budget Office.
They are also adding $4.5 trillion in debt while slashing programs that benefit lower-end consumers like Medicaid, SNAP, as well as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The whole point of DOGE is to save money for taxpayers. It's marketing to convince voters that there's so much fraud that these programs need to be shut down so billionaires can get another tax break. Of course, Make America Great Again is eating it up and cheering.
Correct. If they were truly looking for fraud, the proper way to do this is through neutral party audits of everything, but especially the budgets and finances to find where the money is going. This has nothing to do with money.
They are not looking at fought at all. It is slash and burn and cackle at the people that are impacted.
It's the people that increase the quality of life for middle classes that are getting cut. Not the unwanted massive weapons projects, not the massive oil and gas subsidies, Nothing for the uber wealthy is getting cut. Just the American dream.
Years ago, I worked in Massachusetts but lived in Rhode Island. Mass. Governor wanted to shed the Taxachusetts name. As a visitor, I noticed the parks got trashed relatively quickly. So many dirty diapers. Like, WTF, I never even thought of leaving diapers anywhere when my kids were babies. The parks were entirely unenjoyable. But rich people don't use public spaces, so it's okay.
It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. George Carlin.
10 essential facts about the federal workforce. The federal government only accounts for 1.5% of total civilian employment, a share that has not grown for more than a decade. All federal workers must take an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and the Hatch Act prohibits engaging in partisan political activity while on duty in a federal facility or using federal property. The U.S. government is the largest employer of military veterans. 30% of the federal workforce, approximately 720,000 federal workers, are veterans. The Department of Veterans Affairs is the largest department in the U.S. government, employing more than 486,000 people to take care of our veterans. In fact, 1.47 million federal workers, 61% of the total workforce, work in departments related to national defense and security. United States Department of Veterans Affairs, Homeland Security, Army, Navy, Air Force, Defense. Only about 19% of federal workers live in the DC metro area. There are large contingents of federal workers in all 50 states. For example, the two largest outside of DC, California and Texas, employ 14750 and 13000 federal workers respectively. Other states with 500,010,000 plus federal workers include Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Ohio, and others. Federal workers are your neighbors and friends. The largest job category of federal worker is medical, with 364,000 people working in the field as nurses, doctors, and public health specialists. The U.S. government employs more than 281,000 scientists and engineers, 175,000 engineers. Some of the departments and agencies being targeted to cut costs are also some of the smallest. EPA 16450 employees. Department of Education 4,200 employees. USAID 3,500 employees.
Also, Musk is being paid $8 million a day for consulting fees.
False. You're misinformed. He reaps that from GOAT contracts through his companies. It's not personal payment from this position.
As of right now, there's no confirmation to this claim. It's literally just one person's words. I'm not saying it isn't true. We just don't actually know.
The oligarchs had to fund a multi-trillion-dollar tax cut somehow. As usual, it falls on the backs of people who cannot afford palaces in Palm Beach.
An increase in the supply of unemployed workers makes it easier for private sector employers to depress wages, so it's good for the employing class. If you work for a living, you're SOL though. Don't want to put in weekends or extra responsibilities for no extra pay? Got a growing line of people behind on rent and bills waiting to take your job. Trying to negotiate a higher starting salary or better benefits? I got 3x the normal amount of qualified applicants for the role who won't ask for more on the wait list.
We just spent a decade getting out of this shit and poof, we're fucking back. It's maddening to watch it happen, and all the third grade reading level red hat folks are like, oppress me harder, please.
This is insulting to third graders.
Have you seen our education system? No disrespect to third graders, but their education is a product of this same issue.
Now, although salaried workers with benefits can go work those high-paying jobs illegals were working, except they don't have the skills, don't pay nearly the same, don't provide benefits. Oh, and those family farms that close with no subsidies will be absorbed by big agriculture who also don't provide shit. Wait a minute. This looks like it only benefits the ultra-rich and further erodes the middle class. This is Scooby-Doo levels of masked villainy and greed.
Time to eat the rich. After all, it's not breaking the law if it's saving the country.
I recently argued with a few Make America Great Again folk. No joke, they said the vacuum of farm workers would require farms to raise wages using the rising tide analogy. I couldn't help but ask where the extra wages were coming from. Real life Twilight Zone stuff.
When the government departments fail because there are no workers left, the GOP and Trump will reach out to the private sector. De facto privatization, the feature, not the bug, and it will be rife with abuse.
Yes, that's the autocratic playbook. Starve public institutions to make them look bad, then privatize using their own cronies to get kickbacks, favors, etc.
Yep, we're being robbed.
And his supporters will 100% back it. I've heard from Trumpers before how charter schools outscore public schools. As someone who knows both private and public school teachers, charter schools are run like a business, and it ends up screwing the kids and their education. You cannot monetize education and have a favorable outcome for children.
The charter and private versus public school debate drives me insane. They always compare them like they're the same, when in reality, one side can pick and choose who they want and the other side can't, so you're comparing apples to oranges. It makes my blood boil.
They aren't trying to help. They're trying to consolidate power, remove guardrails, and do a mass transfer of wealth to the super rich. The rest of us can die for all they care.
Frankly, I think it is more nefarious. The takeover looks more like an infiltration leading to an infection. Musk is going after things that affect his businesses, whether via investigation or regulation. He is making mistakes that he would fire an employee for, but shows no accountability. Our elected Republican Congress are sitting on their hands, or worse, defending his actions, as Musk's actions act as a distraction. At some point, I hope the adults show up soon.
The adults are the working class PPO, not Congress. No politician is coming to save us, period. The question is, how bad does it have to get before we stop diving ourselves, buy red and blue, and come together against the ruling class?
That's it for today, but the conversation isn't over. What do you think? Was this the right decision, or will it only make things worse? Let's talk in the comments. If you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.